we are back sooner than I was maybe expecting us to be. Hello there, good evening, and a very warm welcome along to a rebranded new look Four Nil Written All Over It ahead of the upcoming season. A very warm welcome to our first 4 Nil Transfers live and 4 Nil Sunday live of the season, coming to you from our brand new home. Tonight, over the next hour, we'll take a look at all the goings on at Pompey this week. There's loads to get through on a bumper start to the transfer window. Welcome along too, if you're joining us on the watch back on YouTube or Facebook. Another warm welcome along. Come on in, come and say hello. Happy Father's Day. How are you?
I'm just getting in the screen.
You're just getting in the screen. Hello. We've said hello to one man. Let's say hello to the rest of the gang too. Here we go. And Jake's just left us and he's joined back in. Reece, Aaron, Mr. Fish Tank, Gaz all the way from Malta's here too. Welcome along to all the boys. Before we say hello properly, before we say hello to you at home too, in case you've been living under a rock since Wednesday morning, here's a reminder of Pompey's transfer activity so far. Wednesday morning, 10 a.m, Pompey's transfer window got underway with the confirmed arrival of goalkeeper Will Norris. He signed a 3-year deal with us and described the move as a no-brainer for him. Lunchtime on Wednesday saw confirmation that Reeco has joined Lincoln City for an undisclosed fee. Shortly after that, Conor Shaughnessy became our second signing of the day in the window, although it came as no surprise to many, courtesy of Andy Moon's tweet the night before. The 26-year-old centre-back has signed a 2-year deal at Pompey with the option to extend that for a further 12 months. And by 7 p.m, Christian Saydee completed the treble in terms of announcements of incomings for the day at least. He's a man that many Pompey fans have seen before. Saydee was on trial under Cowley before heading to Shrewsbury last season, and he's now joined us on a permanent basis from just down the road at AFC Bournemouth. The following morning, local media in Belfast began to report that the exciting prospect of Terry Devlin had completed a move to Pompey, and that was officially announced that very same afternoon. Devlin said the move means everything to him, as he became the 4th through the door at Fratton Park in just 2 days. Finally, Friday evening came, and left winger Anthony Scully was revealed as the 5th addition in just 72 hours. So early business at PO4, we now wait to see what the rest of the window brings. It is busy, and it is busy here in the chat as well. Hello to Martin from Pompey. Dan's joining us all the way. Dan said this is a present surprise. Thank you for joining us. Hello to Logan. Pompey in at Mush from Emsworth. Jack's disappointed that Jake got an invite and he didn't. So maybe if we sign Gavin White, then Jack could be on. But Jake's got both 2 transfers to talk about, one outgoing, one incoming, and we'll get onto that later on. Hello to Richard, great business, yes it is. Hello to Dill. Andrew said, let's see how many good things the Lincoln man says about Pompey. And Gaz is here, so let's start with Gaz as well. Welcome along, mate. Nice to have you with us all the way from Malta. What a crazy week. What's your initial reaction to all the goings on since Wednesday, mate?
Yeah, it's been good, and obviously with the England game as well, which was obviously hosted here in the lovely climate of Malta. There's bodies everywhere. I mean, there's drunken people all over the place. I think they're flying back probably later on today or tomorrow. But yeah, it's been a good week. I've managed to catch up with some people through the stream, and I've managed to catch up with people that I don't even know. Just walking out, from Pompey fans, from Lincoln fans to Rotherham fans, to all sorts of fans supporting their club, home and abroad. So yeah, it's been good. That's for England. And then obviously the transfers that are coming through the door. Once the window opened, I was like, here we go. What's going to be happening? And then all of a sudden, 1 came through the door, 2 came through the door. And it's very unlike Pompey. And it was something nice, wasn't it? It's like some of the names that have been sort of dotted around and stuff like that. And yeah, they keep mentioning this project. I don't know what's happening behind the doors like, but in the interviews with the players, they liked Messinio. There was like the project sounds good and stuff like that. So I think it's Project Championship.
Oh, lovely. And as Gaz was just saying there, Reece, 1 came through the door, the second came through the door. All of a sudden, we ended up with 5 in 72 hours and became one of the front runners in terms of business in League One and across the country was Pompey, which very, very rarely happens.
Well, yeah, we've had no one through the door today or even yesterday, I don't think. So it's got to be eyes and out now because it's just terrible. I hate it. It's ridiculous.
Oh, is that it? Fine.
Well, I mean, what else can you say as a Pompey fan? You know, you've got to have these expectations of having a player every single day now through the window. But no, realistically, it's fantastic to see. You know, you've got people moaning every season about holding off until the end of the transfer window, picking up the crumbs and things. So it's good that there's business already done. There's people that were saying about Cullen promising signings as soon as the window opens, and he's delivered so far. So you've only got to hold them to that and showing evidence of actually digging into their pockets.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello to Glyn, who joins us all the way from Marseille. Glyn is one of 153 people that join us early doors in the stream. So thank you very much to everyone for being with us. It is great to have your company. It's also great to have Aaron, Mr. Fish Tank's company as well. The main thing that so many people have been saying this week, mate, is how nice is it to see that we've clearly decided we're not messing around. Reece mentioned, how many signings is Andy Cullen going to announce on the first day of the window? But it almost proved to be true. Not messing around. The boys are coming rolling through the door just as soon as the window opens. How refreshing.
Oh, it's been fantastic. I've been drinking a bit lately since football season's finished. And some days I thought, am I actually drunk or am I sober? And then it's been lovely. I can't remember over all the years that I follow Pompey, getting 5 players in the first 72 hours of the window opening. I don't think it's ever happened. It's nice as well because you've actually heard it from the owners and everything. Their frustration, the fans' frustration about being stuck in this league for another 7 years now. And I think they're trying to do their business early. So like last few seasons and everything, we're interested in this player, interested in that player. Then all of a sudden we get gazumped and they go somewhere else. We're getting these players in, so it's actually fantastic. I like the Irish connection that we're getting as well. So yeah, up and coming player, and that he is, and their team's actually gutted. We've actually grabbed him off them. But I'm really looking forward to this. I'm not going to say, we're going to be champions. We're going to do this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
We've got to just make sure that the teams in there start from the basics and then gel as soon as possible. Because if you wait until the end of the transfer windows, you're rushing to get players in, and then you're taking time to actually gel. So get them in early, get them in training, and then see how we go. But I'm very pleased and pleasantly surprised that we're doing business.
And you said season ticket sales going well too. They are. We know it's over 12,500 will be joining us on a regular basis at Fratton Park next season. Milton said, good evening, Tom. First 4 Nil live of the season. We probably weren't expecting to be back this soon, but the Pompey world has imploded. So we thought we'd jump back on. This one made me laugh when I saw it. Jason said, Tom, thank goodness you're on tonight. I'd have to wash the wife's back. Well, there's still plenty of time once we're off after 8 o'clock, Jason, for you to head on over and do that. Jake, welcome. Do you think the ramifications for the rest of League One are, of course, not forgetting it's a good start for the window for Pompey and nothing more than that, but early business sends a message nonetheless, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that the quality of the signings that have come in certainly are tried and tested. You know, Anthony Scully is tried and tested at its level. Conor Shaughnessy as well, obviously at Burton. I think I've sort of drawn parallels between you and Doncaster. Doncaster, if you've seen the league below, I think they've signed 7 players already, and we're only in mid-June. So I can understand why you want to get them in early. You want to embed them in for pre-season. You guys are going away as well as we are. We're off to Mercia in a couple of weeks, which will be good. But then also you get the really, really good deals tend to get done towards the back end of the window. And my best example of that was, from a Lincoln point of view, was Brennan Johnson. When we signed him, that was done at the end of the window. So sometimes it is good to get the players in early, but those, you know, that have got a bit more quality and a bit more, the clubs are right, we really don't know if we want to let them go or not, they tend to come later in the window. So don't, you know, fans really think that sometimes if they're going late into the window about signings, it's just because maybe the quality is a little bit higher than maybe that you're getting early in the window. But really been impressed with some of the signings that you've made, that's for sure.
Gaz, you should also mention we've been hearing reports this afternoon that Michael Duff is set to be leaving Barnsley to join Swansea. Wigan's financial turmoil has been thrown a lifeline by new ownership since we've been off air, and Reading's pursuit for Chris Wilder as their new boss has ended. Reading have also been charged with multiple breaches of EFL regulations. All of this, while it's of course detriment to the other clubs mentioned, and I'm by no means celebrating that, it adds that maybe 5% success rate to Pompey's prospects heading into that new season. Stuff going on elsewhere that we have no control over, obviously focusing on ourselves, but it's important to factor in other stuff going on elsewhere as well.
it just goes to show that football is 365 days a year. It's not just the last game of the season to the first one. There's so much business that gets done. There's so many. Obviously, there's going to be like investigations of past clubs, with administration and all that sort of stuff. It's a terrible sort of time to be for a club. I mean, for example, like Wigan, we don't want to see teams being fans at the end of the day are the ones that get hurt. We had it ourselves, back in 2009-10. We kept getting administration, nothing we could do. All background stuff out of our control. But yeah, it starts now really for Pompey. And it looks like, that statement of intent now is like, like you said, get them in early, bed them in, pre-season coming up back to Spain. And let's see where it takes us this season.
Adam said that new logo, a lot of love for the new logo on YouTube, and hello to Edie, who's joined us back again for the stream tonight, and congratulations on Edie's finished school, everybody. So a big thumbs up and congratulations to her. Hopefully it ends up being promotion worthy. Let's see. And James has done the right thing. He's taken over his friend's smart TV to watch 4 Nil Sunday Live. Well, James, if you're friends with us, then he must know that 4 Nil Sunday Live is the only place to be. Jeff has said, is it wrong to be pumped to the direction of travel, direction of the club, or am I being silly and delusional? Very happy Father's Day. Jeff, we're going to address that in a moment. We're going to go through each and every single one of the signings. What we're going to do first, though, is specifically focus on departures. One of them was Reeco Hackett, and he's the only one so far to leave the football club officially, other than the retained list a couple of weeks ago. Jake's here to spend a little bit of time with us. You can very clearly see he's a Lincoln City fan. Reeco has gone to Lincoln, of course. So we believe, Jake, that this deal has been in the works for, I think, since January, really, when there was initial offer, wasn't there? How pleased are you that Reeco is going to be in a Lincoln shirt next season?
Yeah, really pleased actually. And it's someone that we pursued in January. I think we were unable to get the deal done. Messina wanted to keep him around for the second half of the season, and by all means, having spoke to you guys and spoke to other Pompey fans, he played a little bit of a role during the Pompey side towards the back end of the year. Scored a really good goal away at Accrington in the snow, from what I can remember. And do you know what? I think Reeco, when we announced him, we had a lot of Pompey fans laughing. And I think that was a little bit unfair. I think from an outsider's point of view, and you guys will be able to tell me more, I think he's had a bit of a turbulent time at Pompey. He's been in and out of the side. He's not really found a favoured position. And that happens when you bring up a young lad from the National League sometimes. So I think when he comes to Lincoln, he's been given a 3-year deal. It shows that the club have put a lot of faith in him. Mark's clearly got a preferred position for him across the front line, which I think he's going to enjoy. And he's coming into a football club that are really supportive. And we'll speak later about players and how they speak about Lincoln as a whole. But just really delighted to get Reeco over the line. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring, and hopefully he gets 1 or 2 goals down at Frat, and that would be really nice.
Oh, we know we will. We know we'll get back to the Reeco conversation in just a minute. But a comment from HM_1308 that says, thoughts on the Swanson rumours? How much should be paid for him, and who will he be replaced by? I'll be honest, I wouldn't read too much into that. There isn't going to be any business in that sort of right back position this summer, we're led to believe. So I think that one's hopefully, fingers crossed, isn't anything too much to read into. Reece, Jake's just saying there that we were kind of laughing at or some Pompey fans were laughing at Reeco going to Lincoln. I wouldn't be one of those. And there's quite a lot of love for Reeco on the channel when we had the discussion just before we went live. And Gaz and Aaron and yourself were all saying that we've had some great memories of Reeco. Jake's right, hasn't quite found maybe the consistency in the team. He really found a home at Pompey under Cowley, really, if you think about it, in terms of that regular football that he was getting. What are your reflections on Reeco's commitment to Portsmouth Football Club, and what do you think he can take with him to Lincoln?
Yeah, I don't think he shied away from whenever he put on the shirt, to be honest with you. He actually did change some games when he came on. I remember his goal away at Millwall as well in the Cup. That was class. And actually, some of the goals that he has scored for us over the last couple of seasons were class as well. Like Jake alluded to, the Accrington one, the season just gone, was brilliant. I think, he just didn't have a consistent run in the team. And I could clearly see why he was let go. I don't think it's fair to say I was overly upset that he was leaving, not because I think he's rubbish, but because he deserves a chance to be in a consistent starting position at another club. And I'm glad he's gone to another League One club, because it does show there is managers and head coaches that see the potential in him still.
Aaron, there was a little bit of talk over kind of when we knew that there was interest for Reeco. It feels like it's good business all round for all parties involved, really. It's an opportunity for a fresh start for Reeco. Pompey get a fee with a year left on his contract, and Lincoln get a brand new player who can be playing off the left wing for them. So it's a kind of win-win all round, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Especially as he was brought in with the Cowleys. So he was brought in through the Cowleys vision. But they're no longer with us. So the vision for him is completely different now to what it was like 18 months ago. I feel gutted for him that he's gone, because you could see the potential there in him. He is a quality player on his day, but it just wasn't his time at Pompey. I'm glad he's gone to another club. Lincoln, yeah, fine, fair enough. 3-year deal and everything. Hopefully he can shine there. But it'll always be that thing when Lincoln come and play us at Fratton Park, he will be blimmin' scoring against us. You put money on it now. But yeah, I'm happy that I'm not happy he's gone, but I'm glad he's got a decent contract somewhere else as well. And then you never know, you could actually see a completely different side of him at Lincoln, because even though he's playing in all different positions, he never really settled in, and he wasn't always a starting 11 player week in, week out. But he needs that. I think that's what he needs for his confidence. And yeah, give him to another team and everything. Gutted he's gone, but yeah, I think we've done right there, because we've now got a few players in. With new manager is making his own squad and everything now, and this is the window to do it, to actually push up that league this season.
Gaz, we were saying before we came on air regarding Reeco, and just one last one before we get going on Pompey incomings. Would it maybe be fair to label him as a 4 out of 10 from the starting 11, but an 8 out of 10 in terms of his impact off the bench? And he's scored a range of goals in key moments for us, particularly last season. It's amazing how football works. But if it wasn't for Will Norris, then Reeco's goal would have contributed to a point and maybe more when me, Reece and Dill were at Peterborough away last season. I think we're both in agreement that this is, this is something that Lincoln fans can be really pleased with, because there's a very good chance that he will really make a real go of things at Lincoln. And is it quite maybe just a little bit blunt from Stephen, but not got the quality to get promoted?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Reeco, like Aaron said, he came in under the Cowleys under a different vision. He wasn't really playing, I don't think, in his natural position on the left. He's probably, in fact, he was out of position sometimes on the right. I mean, he was good with his feet when he had his chance. Good at free kicks, but yeah, as an impact player coming off the bench, he got us out of trouble a couple of times. Don't get me wrong, but as a starter, yeah, bit of a slow burner for me. But yeah, for me, he gave us all for the club. He was very good with the fans off the pitch. He'll come across for a picture and stuff like that. So yeah, nice guy. Hope he does well at Lincoln. Hopefully not against Pompey when we play him twice. But you never know. Them old ghosts come back and haunt us, don't they?
And Jake, just before we get on to some incomings for Pompey, can we have a little 4 Nil Written All Over It exclusive on what's to come from you very soon?
Yeah, why not? I'm launching July 24th. Come over to my Twitter. My Twitter handle was down here, but I think Tom's hidden it somehow. Jake_Tong98. There'll be a whole thing over there. So come over. There's going to be some pretty good content, and hopefully you guys can all get involved as well, which will be good.
Very much looking forward to seeing it, mate. Before we get into everything incomings at Pompey, just to get you in the mood, here is what you can expect plenty of from this season.
This season, 4 Nil Written All Over It is back, bigger and better than ever. Score today?
It's got to be 4 Nil Written All Over It.
I can see us finishing top this season.
Would you like to add anything?
Other than the Blues are going up this season? No.
I'm absolutely loving this John Messino setup.
I mean, I am deep in the party. The atmosphere of Fratton Park is unbelievable.
And now there are plenty of smiling faces on the panel and plenty of smiling faces at home as we all think of the prospects of what's about to come this season. Get subscribing to the channel so you don't miss a moment of it. Remember, all the fixtures are out this Thursday. Less than 4 days' time to go, people. Right, let's chat arrivals. Before we start with Will Norris, I think, and before we get into any conversation whatsoever about the boys that have come through the door and do a bit of a deep dive, I think a massive well done for Massinho and Hughes and the wider recruitment team is in order, as well as the ownership structure of the football club, not only to get deals done early, as we said, setting a precedent, but it also gives the sort of the maximum time for players to work their way into the group and get to know everyone. I think the business so far has been smart, and you can start to draw parallels to the kind of profile that we're targeting and the overall game idea that is to be implemented for the upcoming season. There's a few gambles in there which we'll get onto, and there should be, and there's also some really exciting players who are more than ready to tackle League One this season with Pompey. It's a good start, and is a start that is all it is a start. Let's start with Will Norris then. Aaron, I think this is very much a case of not listening to fans of football teams that players have played for in the past without seeing him play for us first. Of course, the quality of the keeper is important. What's also really pleasing to see is a keeper tied down to a lengthy contract, which we haven't had for quite a while.
Yeah, it's nice actually, because the goalkeeper is the number one. He actually controls his defence and everything as well, and you need that solid signing. I think it was, yeah, we've had a couple of loans and everything lately with keepers, but we do need a number one week in, week out, long-term contract. So that's one less thing to worry about. But yeah, after last season, we definitely, I did like Macy. I was hoping that Macy would stay, but come the end of the season, you could tell he was off. Last couple of games, you could tell he was going. So I'm glad we got the new keeper in, but then hopefully he'll be training constantly at the moment, and hopefully we can develop him and everything, and he'll be the League One's number one keeper this season.
Welcome along to the 183 people that join us live across YouTube and Facebook. This is the first 4 Nil Sunday live and the first 4 Nil Transfers live of the season. And as I said earlier, we weren't expecting to be back as soon as we are, but people seem to be enjoying it and very excited for the new season. And we're all looking forward to the away days. Gaz, I know many of those you will be there for, and we're looking forward to sitting down properly. And we're going to arrange a call like this for the 4 Nil crew. We're going to go through and pinpoint exactly which games we're going to get to and where and what we're going to book in, etc. And it's that kind of exciting time of the year. It will take us a while, and Aaron was just kind of alluding it to there, to actually think back to Pompey's last permanent goalkeeper. Our previous, obviously, were Matt Macy, Josh Griffiths, even back to Gavin Bazunu, of course, Craig McGilvery being our last permanent first choice goalkeeper. Before then, some stability between the sticks. Very welcome in your book, I would imagine.
Definitely, yeah. And at that age of 29, he's got some experience behind him as well. He's got some pedigree in him. Obviously, he's had from Wolves. He's been at that team that we don't like, Ipswich, Burnley. But yeah, other than that, he had a good season. Well, he's been with the Peterborough side, obviously. You know, unfortunately for them, wasn't it? Disaster end of the season for them. But maybe he's had that sort of taste, you know, and he's going to be hungry. He does it, you know, for the new season. But yeah, stability at the back would be nice. We need that number one with the talker. Obviously, in front of him now, you know, from the defence from what it was last year, it's going to be totally a new one, I think, for the new season going forward. So it's going to be good that they're bedded in early, so they all know each other's roles. But yeah, good to have him in the sticks, and looking forward to see what he can do.
Jake, it's a situation where whoever you ask will probably give you a different appraisal. For some, it might be tricky to look past conceding 5 at Hillsborough not too long ago in the playoff semi-final second leg for Will Norris. Of course, conceding goals is never solely the keeper's fault. Others will cite his successful time at Cambridge. Others will tell you had a good spell at Peterborough. He's a good shot stopper for sure. Evidence would support the view that he's not particularly commanding of his box, but he is 6'4", so there's an argument to be had there. He prefers a punch rather than a catch. Do you reckon Pompey fans should have their reservations, or do you think Will Norris will do more than a good enough job for us?
Yeah, I think with any player that comes into a football club, you should have your reservations. Whilst you should be excited that you've signed a new keeper and all that, it's only natural, I think, to go back and look at the evidence that's out there and see where the player might need to improve, so that, you know, when you go and watch him on the first match day, that your expectations might be not so high of him. Look, Will Norris is a wonderful goalkeeper. He played a lot of competitive football. Obviously, people will remember him for the Hillsborough performance, and as a goalkeeper, I would say it really wasn't his fault. I don't think his backline helped him at all. And it's a really interesting debate, Tom, that you bring up about having a permanent keeper and having a lone goalkeeper, because I'm in favour personally of having a lone goalkeeper. I'm very fortunate to be able to speak to our director of football, Jez George, for podcasts and things like that. And the loan market for goalkeepers tends to be high. You tend to get a higher calibre of player. So, for example, I've given you this example before, Tom. How many England under-21s were loaned into League One last year? Two of them were goalkeepers. So you had Trafford at Bolton, and then Carl Rushworth came to Lincoln. I think Crewe have signed one today, an England under-20 international from Liverpool. So it shows you where you can get extra high calibre loanees from the goalkeeping position. But for a long-term point of view, and it's a 3-year contract for Norris, I think, I think he'll do all right. I think he'll be solid enough. All he's got to do really is replace Matt Macey, who was good at Pompey, obviously, but I think he needs to make the position his own. So it'll be really interesting to see how he gets on. Hopefully, he's not really got those demons of Hillsborough haunting him for the start of the season. But pre-season with a new team and a new gaffer, you'll get off the right way, hopefully.
They started that blinder in the first leg, and he winding up opposition. A little bit of that coming into the team, which would be good to see. Just lastly on Will Norris, Reece, before we move on, a lot of talk with regards to the return of Matt Macey. Aaron's mentioned it, and Jake was alluding to it there. Of course, the news of Norris's arrival would suggest that Macey coming back to Pompey is probably not going to happen. However, when you consider his salary rise following Luton's promotion, Norris is here on a free and for a lengthy stay, as we've been talking. It does make sense, doesn't it? As much as we'd absolutely love to have Matt Macey back, and he managed to get himself a status quo chant within 2 minutes of being at the club, and everyone loved him, no matter what happened before in terms of reviews, which is why I mentioned to Aaron that we shouldn't really be listening too much to what's going on elsewhere. But makes a lot of sense to Pompey to be shrewd with their business here, get one on a permanent, and not worry too much about paying a ludicrous fee for a player that was only ever on loan with us in the first place.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's fair to say that when the transfer window's open, you're always going to have fans from other clubs that have had that player previously at theirs, always going to have an opinion whether that's a good one or a bad one. Look at Matt Macey. When it was announced that he was joining us, how many Plymouth fans and Luton fans messaged us saying, good luck, your season's finished, or you're going to finish in the relegation zone now. He was fantastic for us. So, of course, we're going to be gutted because he actually, fitted in really well at Pompey. We all got behind him, and he didn't put a foot wrong. However, he was a loan, and obviously loans can actually hurt you and make you really upset, like he did with me, because I really liked him. However, moving forward, we've got a keeper that's ours now. He's under contract for a few years. We've got to give him a chance, just like with Macey, and I'm expecting him to fit in. He's here for the long term, so he's going to settle down. He's going to feel like he's not playing just for a wage for a couple of months, and I'm really excited to see how he does.
Let's move on to Conor Shaughnessy, an early transfer present from Andy Moon. This one, the second signing of the day on Tuesday. Conor joins us from Burton, where a number of their fans, including Edward Walker, said they were disappointed that he didn't want to extend his existing contract. He sounds like an adaptable player. He's got a lot of positions that he could possibly slot into. I would imagine John sees him in the back line more than midfield. That sounds like where he's most suited. Thoughts on the arrival of Shaughnessy, Gaz?
Again, it's going to be competition for places, isn't it? Which is great to see at the back. Obviously, we think Raggett's not going to be there starting. Well, I'm hoping Raggett's not going to be there at the start of the season in that position. It looks like he's a guy that we can utilise. Definitely centre half. Obviously, with Riley, it's going to be interesting where Messinio sees him best, really, because that's what pre-season is going to be all about. Because it's all right signing someone as a sort of centre defender, then all of a sudden you might think, he might actually be a nice holding midfielder. You don't know what he's got. He's got to get their pegs in the right holes, shall we say? But definitely, competition for me places is only going to be better for the squad instead of people just relying on, I'm going to play in week out. Who's going to replace me? We've had that before in the past. So now it's good. And obviously for myself, I know he mentioned obviously with the loan signs. Like for me, you get more out of the guy that's signed for the club because he's playing for a contract and he's playing for his badge, other than a lone guy just come and go. For me, that's why I like the idea of signing these players. Instead, these aren't loans, which is fantastic. We've actually owned these players now, so it's good that no one can now poach them away from us, or we're going to get the best out of them. So yeah, for me, great signing, a good age, 26. I think he's quite tall. Looking at my notes here, 6'3". So it's good to have someone that can head the ball. Because like I say, Raggett, I said to you before, Raggett is a bit like a burglar in the house. You know where he is, but you don't know what he's doing. And that's what Raggett did for me at the back. He was a bit scary. So yeah, it's for me, it's a good signing, and hopefully beds in well.
Very warm welcome to the Good Morning Tom Platinum crew from Dan, who's decided to join us as a member. There's membership links in the chat, that in the description down below. Thank you very much for that, Dan. That's great to see, mate. I think more broadly, as Gaz has just been alluding to there, Aaron, it could perhaps signal the end of a time at Pompey for Sean Raggett. And of course, unless we've decided to be overly cautious in terms of personnel so far, which I would question why we'd have two backup right-sided centre-halves within the team. If Shaughnessy strikes me as a much more assured player than Raggett, and Gaz was saying there's certainly less heart and mouth moments with him on the pitch. And of course, Gaz said it there, 26, better age than Raggett as well.
Yeah, I think with Raggett, he's been a great ambassador for us for many years now. He has had good games, but you actually remember the bad games and the fluff-ups he's done and the mistakes and the back passes. And it's just like, yeah. And started to demolish the North stand as well a couple of times after smashing his face into it, after diving over the boards. But I think with Raggett, don't get me wrong, he's been a fantastic ambassador, but I think it's time for move on. Especially he's been there since the Mr. Jacket era. So that tells you how long he's actually been there. But I think fresh blood in. I think our new Mourinho manager will actually, he knows what he wants and he knows what players he wants to get out. So he's keeping it very quiet at the moment, which is good. But I think fresh blood, especially as this bloke is 6'3". Yeah, he went up. He's good and everything. I haven't seen too much of his videos and everything, but I think we need to build a good team. And I think Raggett's time is up, I think, especially after the last few games as well as last season. But he's been fantastic over the years, but I think it's time to move on.
We've just tipped over to the 200 live viewers mark across YouTube and Facebook. So, warm welcome along and thank you for choosing to spend a bit of time with us tonight here on a new look 4 Nil Sunday Live. We're going to move on to Christian Saydee because I want to leave plenty of time for us to discuss upcoming transfer rumours and any incomings that we can expect over the next few days. Before Terry Devlin's arrival, this one was the most pleased about that I was on Wednesday, and it was 7 o'clock Wednesday night, and albeit only 2 games of pre-season, but he did look like a really exciting prospect and definitely someone at the time that looked like we should sign, and I still question to this day why we did then let him go elsewhere. Jake, you weren't quite as excited by the news in the I won't reveal too much because we haven't revealed what we're doing with that yet, but in the group that myself and yourself are in with 2 other people of interest, you weren't overjoyed. Is that due to what you've seen from him at Shrewsbury or from Burton or just him as because physicality wise, he looks like a well-built bloke who would be an excellent understudy to Colby, if not playing alongside Colby, and could really offer something to this group. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I was disappointed really with Portsmouth and they've got him. I think you can do a little bit better. You have to bear in mind, I saw Shrewsbury on the last day of the season and he played horrifically. He dropped a bit of a stinker, came off the bench, didn't really impact the game at all. So you've got to bear in mind that my last thought of Christian Saydee was him running around like a headless chicken, trying to get Shrewsbury back into a game they're never really going to get back into. I mean, physically, yeah, he's got all the attributes. He's quick, he's strong, he's tall. Gets him behind. He does know where the net is. I think he scored a couple of goals for Shrewsbury this year. It's a bit more difficult to score goals in the Shrewsbury side, perhaps, than what it is in the Pompey side. But he did well to get a few. You know what? I liken it to a player that you guys might not like. Dan Lunderloo from down the road from your place had all the attributes to be a great footballer. Turned out to be a flop. So I would just go with this sign of a bit of caution. I think he has the potential. Obviously, he's a young lad. He's on a permanent contract at Pompey, which might help him out. But I just think if you'd have waited a little bit longer, I feel like there might have been a bit more better value in the market. But I'm all for Christian Saydee coming and shushing me at central bank when he scores a hat trick. I'm all for it. So, but yeah, I think Pompey could have set their sights a bit higher, if I'm honest.
Let's hope so. Let's hope not. Let's hope we set our sights higher. Let's hope he comes and shushes you after a hat trick. Reece, I'm sure you remember him from having at the pre-season that we watched, and I remember turning to Dad at the time and saying, "Imagine adding him to our striker lineup." And I think that'd be really good. And that's the what Jake's saying there. Obviously, I'm basing my opinion off one game that I've seen of him. Jake's also basing his opinion off one game of seeing him. So there's kind of two sides to the same coin there. Lots of attributes, as I mentioned, including his physical presence, his strength, he's pacey, and Jake was saying there, he can finish if given the opportunity. All the attributes that you want to add to Pompey's striking force.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously time's going to tell if he's going to be vital in the first team or he's going to be a squad rotational player, because obviously you got Bishop as the first man on the team sheet touch up top. One thing I would say in our favour with this is that yes, he's gone on loan to Shrewsbury, and I know he didn't score when he was at Burton at all, but he's coming down the road from Bournemouth. So he's obviously already got family and a home down this way. So he's going to be very comfortable coming straight into pre-season without having to move house and move locations for family, etc. So that could be a benefit for us as well. And like you say, we've already had a taster of him. And I was hoping that we was going to sign him after the pre-season that he came in. So yeah, we just got to give him a chance, because if we're singling out, this striker that has played last season in our league and not comparing him to the other signings, I think all Pompey fans will know that if he starts to hit the ground running and he does 100% in the Pompey shirt, then we'll all be behind him.
Let's delve into Devlin, shall we? He certainly caused the most excitement around the place this week. Gaz, I remember seeing earlier in the week that Glentoran fans felt this lad could really jump straight into a first-team squad at Pompey, and lots of really good appraisals of him so far, and we're all very much hoping he impresses. Maturity's been a bit of a buzzword since his arrival. Box-to-box, can pinpoint a pass with accuracy. He keeps the ball well. He never stops running, and isn't afraid of a challenge. So that certainly gives Pompey a feisty midfield, considering what we've already got in our ranks.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interview, obviously, he was absolutely buzzing. I've never seen, he was really smiley. He was really happy, and it looks like it's an exciting move for him. And it's obviously he could be a good fit for us as well. Obviously, a young guy, 19-year-old. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy, a 19-year-old, in this league it's going to be an interesting one for him, because it's a guy that obviously, not a goal scorer. He's not prolific for his goals. However, his assists and his running with the ball in midfield, a lot of people have praised him for that. He's a box-to-box, obviously, midfielder. So, we need that in midfield. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Again, how he slots in with what's already at Pompey, and again, this pre-season is just going to be great, because going back to that, I forget Saydee, because we saw him in Mercia, didn't we? We watched him in the pre-season. We thought, yeah, this guy's got something special, and hopefully we'll get to sign him. But obviously, he didn't go on, and obviously, he's not a prolific goal scorer, and then he's had a lot of loans and stuff like that. So yeah. With Christian, I think now that he's signed for Portsmouth, he'll do really. I think as an understudy to like Colby, and with Messina as well, we'll push on, and could be a really good little gem, I think, maybe, and little diamond in the rough, shall we say, to go along with this Devlin guy. We haven't had a Terry at the club for a while, apparently. It's all about the name Terry. It's a good name, apparently, if you're a Terry. But yeah, excited to see him come through. It looks a bit of another Irish one on the team. It's like, I think Pompey is twinned with Ireland at the moment. So we seem to go poaching around the Irish market. So yeah, welcome on board, and looking forward to seeing him in a blue shirt.
Very much so. Really, really excited by this one. Jake, is this one that you move on from Saydee and the kind of the approach you gave him? I appreciate you might not know too much about this guy from Northern Ireland, but I mean, as a person, according to various places, his work ethic and his modesty have been highlighted since he joined Pompey, and absolutely everything I've seen from everyone has said and suggested that he's going to the top. So, yet another example of this it's a dog toy going off in Aaron's house. Yet another example of Pompey young acquisition of talent destined for greatness, really, and hopefully given if his ability shines through, then it could be a really good opportunity for Pompey fans to get really excited by a really young player.
Yeah, he's probably not the Pompey signing that I'm most excited to talk about, which we might come on to later. But I think, tapping into the Irish market is something that you're seeing EFL clubs do more and more often now. I know this has come from Northern Ireland. I think there's another young lad playing over there, Whiteman. He's been linked with Leicester City, Brighton. So it shows you that the big boys and certainly EFL clubs can get ahead of competition by recruiting in Ireland. It's a really smart way to do it. And you've seen, not only ourselves do it, but Bolton have done it with Owen Toll, who came in to Bolton in January and has sort of made that overlapping centre-back position his own at Bolton. So, look, I won't say I know a load about the guy, but he comes with rave reviews. He's only 19. The thing I would suggest is that he's probably leaving family behind. He's leaving his personal life behind. I would urge Pompey fans to stick with him. I think it's going to be a tough move for him off the pitch. We think back to when we were all 19, some a bit longer away than others, no mentions. It's a completely different life. And he's coming over to a different country, different league. He doesn't know the league. I would urge Pompey fans to give him a bit of patience, but it looks like he's got all the attributes to really perform well in this Pompey midfield. And if you've got him and Joe Morrell snapping at ankles every 10 minutes, I think you might win a few. You'll certainly win more midfield battles than you'll lose. That's for sure.
Definitely, so it is a massive leap for such a young man. I'm sure Pepe won't mind me citing a Portsmouth News article, Reece, where a Glens fan said he was destined for the Premier League. He was convinced Pompey had pulled off a real coup by landing the teenager. We understand, obviously, Sunderland and Oxford were both keen, so that would suggest that the cash element to close deals has been given a bit of a boost lately from the ownership. A friend of Retro Shirt, Sean's in the chat, also corroborated the claim during the week that he's a wise head on young shoulders, and not afraid of a tackle, which we've mentioned. He's described as an absolute machine in midfield, and hope that the Glens have a sell-on clause given how he expects his future to play out. So really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and I think obviously Jake alluded to it a minute ago about other clubs in the EFL getting players from Ireland, whether that be obviously the Northern Ireland League or just the Ireland League in general. I think the best example that Pompey fans can go off of for this in terms of the excitement of not knowing a player would probably be Ronan Curtis when he signed. In terms of obviously coming over, not knowing too much about him, and everybody knows that first season he was one of our best players. So yeah, there's a lot to be excited about, and when he's got people interested in him from other clubs in high divisions, there's something about the boy. So let's just stick behind him, like Jake said. We've got to give him a bit of time to settle in. But yeah, something really exciting, something different, than your usual experienced names in leagues that we've known for years and years and years, and they haven't performed. So maybe this is a direction sometimes that the club need to do.
Dan thinks he can grow loads at Pompey, and Josh said apparently we only paid 80k for him. That's absolutely fantastic business. I heard that it's definitely no more than 150k, so in that sort of range, which
that's a bargain, that is.
Yeah, and particularly when you consider as well with no disrespect to Irish football, but that is real top end, isn't it, in terms of making the move over to England. Aaron, just briefly before we move on, because I'm aware we're running out of time, and I want to get on to one of the big hitters. Would you be concerned? Jake's mentioned it there. It's quite a step up. It's a big crowd at Fratton Park. It can be quite all-consuming at times, with no disrespect to Glen Torren, of course. Is he going to be ready for all that comes with it, the playing under the pressure at Fratton?
I think it is a huge step up. Any young kids that's coming over from a different country is massive. Stop it. But I think he'd be all right. I think because we got him in so early, get him in, get the team together early, have a run round. I think he's going to be the missing piece that we were missing last year, especially from midfield. We wanted someone with the creativity of getting the balls in the box. We had no one like that. And I've only seen a couple of videos of him, the way he clips the ball into the box and everything to actually help his teammates. I think he is definitely the missing piece. And especially with the two geezers up front now, I think they're easy getting ahead. So I think we can actually gain the missing 20 goals we had last season in this bloke.
Anthony Scully is next up, and Gaz, this one took us all by surprise. And speaking completely honestly, I would have thought that this would be the man of all five of our that our viewers would have heard of tonight, and given his pedigree at this level, perhaps the smartest move in terms of when you consider what's needed right now for the team, and given the absence we have at left wing. We of course spoke about the loss of Reeco to Lincoln and Ronan Curtis's ACL injury, with no disrespect to those two. Perhaps even if they were both available, we'd still be keen on adding some flair and creativity that Aaron mentioned to that position. Goal scoring threat and pace out wide is something we've all been crying out for, and I think we've got that in Anthony Scully.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and 24-year-old, he's like, looks like he's going to be a really good signing for us. He likes to play across the line. He likes to go forward. He likes to chip in plenty of goals from the left-hand side. He even said it himself. You don't want to be too telegraphic, shall we say? So a lot of players playing in defence will know what he wants to do. So it'd be nice if he can mix it up a bit. But yeah, it's nice to have someone who can score goals, in that midfield area. Because obviously Colby Bishop, last year, for the goals that Colby got last year, and the midfield was so disjointed last season, wasn't it? With the personnel, with injuries, suspensions, and Colby still managed to chip in, the goals that he did. Now he's got somebody that can actually help a lot more in midfield. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Again, pre-season, where Martinho sees him. If he's going to play on that left, or he's going to play in the middle, number 10, will he play on right? It's going to be interesting times. I'm really looking forward to seeing this guy play. Obviously, we've got the Lincoln expert here, ready to cry his eyes and let us know what he's all about. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him play.
Go on, Jakey boy, give us your reflections on his lengthy time spent at Lincoln.
It was all announced in one day. Harry Anderson, who was a big player for Lincoln, went to Stevenage, and then Anthony linked up with Pompey, someone that I know really well from interviewing for the programme. Anthony is a really lovely bloke and one hell of a footballer. I mean, Gaz says he maybe needs to be a little bit less predictable, but I can tell you, it's one thing knowing what Anthony Scully is going to do. It's another thing stopping him. Trademark Anthony Scully. I think it's difficult. He came to us obviously from West Ham. He came through the same youth team as a certain Declan Rice, who's about to go and making £1 million transfer to some sort of Premier League club. But he came to Lincoln as a number 9. It was very quickly made aware from Michael Appleton that we didn't think that was his best position. He got stuck out on the left wing. He formed a really good front three with Morgan Rogers and Brennan Johnson the year we got to the playoff final. Scored maybe 15 goals in that side, and then from there on in, after the loanees went back and it became a little bit more difficult for Lincoln, he was really the star man at League One level and performed exceptionally well during 21-22. If we were going to do anything in any game going forward, it would have been through Anthony Scully. He is best out on the left wing. I don't think he's incredibly pacey. So I think you may need to look at someone that might stretch the game better than Anthony. But in terms of coming inside in the half space between the fullback and the centre-back, and shooting towards the far corner of his right foot, I don't think there'll be anybody better in this league than him. Some of the goals that the club sort of did their signing announcement. There's one away at Peterborough. If Nappers is watching, I think Nappers has got a really good clip of when we scored a winner against Fleetwood. Trademark Scully in on the left, top corner. It's bound to go in, and he probably chose the wrong move 12 months ago when he obviously started the season at Lincoln, scored a really good goal at Oxford, Wardy, if we can remember that, not to rub salt in the wounds. But he probably made the wrong move, went to Wigan, where I think he played under like 3 managers in about a week. They had Colo Torre, then they had Maloney, who they've got in now. So, yeah, I think he picked the wrong move, which is fair enough to him. I hope you've paid a bit of money for him, because that wise we might get a bit of cash and basically might have Reeco for free. Hopefully, fingers crossed it evens out. But yeah, just one hell of a bloke, one hell of a footballer, and definitely a player that can grow with Portsmouth, and someone that, if you are to get promoted, will be in your starting 11 in the Championship. That's how good a footballer he is.
Reece, I think we need to say no more on that, really. And I think that exactly underlines why we've got Jake on to chat to us about this tonight. Because I remember it was 1 minute past 7 on, was it Friday night or was it Thursday night, Jake?
Friday, I think.
Oh, one of them.
One of them.
definitely
And I
Friday.
rang him and he went, "Oh, Tom. And
It was just before the England game.
Sorry?
Just before the England game.
It was, so it would have been Friday, yeah. And yeah, you described him as an 8 out of 10 signing to me, Jake, on the phone as well, which is that one little addition that I wanted to make sure that we had on there. Reece, just briefly, because it's 10 to 8 and we've got 10 minutes to get through rumours and a couple of other bits and pieces, other business, but incredibly exciting and perhaps one that Pompey fans can be the most excited about, given what we just heard from Jakey Boy.
Well, yeah, and I knew that we were linked with him before going to Wigan as well, because we were always interested, and he's definitely the one player out of the 5 so far that I'm most impressed with. And I understand Wigan fans will have a different opinion because they didn't see much of him, obviously last season, but that was due to a hernia operation. Is that correct? So obviously you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt with that as well. And he's got a fresh start now with a new club, pre-season behind him when he starts the new season. And it's just a player I'm really excited about that has evidence of being able to put the ball in the back of the net and get bums off seats.
Bums off feet.
Either one, mate. I don't know what's going on. Who knows, eh?
Sniffing the neck here.
Yeah. Unless they're playing Twister, I don't know. So.
Just over 200 of you still with us here. We've got just under 10 minutes to go here live on 4 Nil Sunday Live. So do stay with us. We're going to be chatting targets and rumours in just a moment. Before we do so, I wanted to address a bit of an elephant in the room with you, Aaron. Ronan Curtis, and it's not your fish. Ronan Curtis. There was a comment earlier on. Where do we stand? We're aware he's been offered a contract. Just very briefly, if you would. I'm sorry that every answer is very briefly, but there's plenty I want to get through in the next sort of 10 minutes or so. Where do we stand on Curtis at the moment? I would assume you'd want to keep him for his rehab and then look in December at another deal, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, yesterday there was a couple of things on social media that he actually released, saying he's halfway through his recovery. Surgery went well. He's back training, everything, very light training. Still got a long way to go, but on his day, like at the end part of the season last year, he was phenomenal for us. And then he got the injury, and it was just like, it just drives you insane. But I would still keep him, see how he goes. I would offer him another contract to keep him in the squad. Yeah, he does have his frustration and everything every so often, but it's the passion that he's got for the club.
Yeah.
It could be, other things, but he's been here a while now, so it's just like, keep him. But then in January, if someone comes in with a big offer, it'd be hard to actually turn down.
Let's chat targets and rumours for Pompey that I'm sure many of you in the chat know about, and feel free to share your opinions on this. Marcus said, I think for once Pompey have shown a good sign of intent from the coming season and early signings and all on permanent deals. Still think... sorry, that one's just flipped up. I still think 5 or 6 more, but Messina and Hughes we trust, and those 5 or 6 more may even be among this list. Obviously, Gavin White as a right-footed winger would easily complement and support options of both Paddy Lane and Anthony Scully. His crossing ability looks like something to be really interested in. Another adaptive winger as well, someone who I'm aware could play across really kind of the front line in any particular position, something to look out for this week. No eyebrows being raised, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Deschamps Bernard, we all know what he would bring to the table. That would perhaps, the only point is he can bring so much to the table that there will be interest elsewhere, and whether Pompey can batter away other clubs in the Championship, and whether Deschamps would still want to come back to Pompey. I know he very much enjoyed his time there, time here. Sorry, Gaz, I know you're a massive fan of Deschamps, and so am I, and we've had plenty of conversations off camera about this and in the group and when we've been chatting in general. But Deschamps Bernard would really... Yes, it would contribute to a youthful back line. We all know that. But at the same time, it was so good to see Riley Towler and Deschamps Bernard operating as 2 centre-backs towards the tail end of last season. Very much hoping that's the case heading into this next one.
Yeah, I mean, the Dijon mustard. It was mustard, wasn't he? I thought he was great. When he was, in that role with Towler, it was like, I don't know, you got some aggression there as well, The guy's got some good pedigree. At the moment, he's been obviously linked with some other clubs, but I think with Pompey, they could nurture him along. And I think Messina there's something about him, obviously, because he was chairman of the PFA before, obviously, with when he was at Oxford, wasn't he? He seems to know these players inside and out already. And I think with the Bernard, I think there's something there again. Competition for places. It's going to be key because obviously last year we were a bit stretched on some places. But to have, 2 or 3 people in each position can only be beneficial for the squad. It might get, obviously it depends on the mentality of the person. Do they want to be a squad player? If the team's winning and winning and winning, it's great, but obviously it's going to be difficult because we can only start with 11. We might have 60 fantastic players, but by the beginning of the season, but not all of them can play. So again, man management, game management, etc. It's going to be a long season, as we know. We've seen what happened last season. So yeah, I would definitely like to see Dijon back.
Very excited for the long season. I remember when we were coming out on Wednesday last year, first game of the season, you went, we've had this drama and it's only game 1. And I just can't wait for more scenes like that. Just to get through to more transfer rumours, I know Reece is going to give us a couple as well. Lee Bonis is a highly rated centre forward that's been linked to Pompey. Cassini Yengi, 6-figure sum, believed to be the kind of region we are talking with him. It sounds like Pompey is the destination that has won the race for his signature, but take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt. He can play up top or as a left winger, stronger on his right foot. Right foot. Physicality, definitely on his side. No English football experience, of course, and not really an awful lot of consistency in his career over in the A-League either. So a couple of bits and pieces to bear in mind. Reece, you've got about 30 seconds to a minute to give us your names for what you've written down and a couple of bits and pieces about them.
Aren't necessarily rumours that have been attached to Pompey yet, but these are a couple of players that I can envision Mousinho signing, and that would have an impact with the club. You've got Wes Harding, that's now been released from Rotherham, who could play centre-back and right-back. Plenty of experience with Rotherham, getting out the league, and has played a handful of games for Birmingham in the Championship as well. Taylor Moore on loan at Shrewsbury last season, being released from Bristol City now. That could be a good acquisition if we can't get Bernard in. And Kane Vincent-Young at the back as well, who's been released from Ipswich. He didn't play every single game last season and was fairly out of the squad due to injuries and other reasons. That could be one as well. And when it comes to midfield, you've got Jordan Graham, is it? Graham? Jordan Graham, that played for Gillingham in League One previously and was fantastic. Now at Birmingham, he's also been released. Still young, can play either wing. And finally, Amari Patrick from Carlisle United, who I've been very, very impressed with, who scored at Wembley for their playoff final to get promoted. So these are a couple of players that I can envision that could make an impact at Pompey.
Excellent. And just to finally close, it's so good to see that the overall buoyancy and positivity among fans with the news of so many signings in such quick succession. I know we were chatting in the group yesterday about the reasons behind this fast start to the window. Alex Hayward cited the Eisner, seeing both Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday spending big to get out of League One. We were asking the question whether the owners perhaps trust the recruitment ideas of Richard Hughes and John Mousinho more than previous administrations, i.e. the Cowleys, or is it more of a question of now the stadium's all done and in terms of where they want it to be moving forward? Obviously, we've still got the Milton end ongoing, and it's now the time to start assembling a playing squad fit for promotion. Have all the stars truly aligned, and only time will tell us if that is the case. Just a closing word from you, Aaron, on what you've made of transfers so far. It's been a fantastic hour, everybody. Thank you so much for all your company. I think we've really covered an awful lot of ground here, not least with yourself, Aaron. And I can see your positivity with everything shining through the screen. Lots to be happy about at the moment at Pompey.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's been a good week for being a Pompey fan. You still get the some Pompey fans on social media dissing the players and everything, dissing the managers and owners. But God, give it a chance. We haven't even kicked a ball in pre-season yet. It's like we're getting new players in early as well, and especially 5. I've never known us to get them in this early. Hopefully, we can get some more in. Start training early, get that gel together. And do we believe? Ask me at the first game of the season where I think we're going to go, but I'm not going to tell anyone where we're going to end up. I'm going to write in an envelope and stick it on the fish tank all season. And then at the end of the last game, I'm going to open it up and see if my prediction's right. But I want to see more players in first.
Are we going to have that live on 4 Nil Sunday live at the end of the season? Are we, Aaron? We're going to get that.
Definitely. And it's going to be stuck up there all season.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it, mate. Looking forward to it. Gaz, what's your take on, I know we discussed it in the group, but what's your, for the benefit of everyone still with us, what is your take on everything I read out? Obviously, the ambition from owners, the the know-how and the acquisition of these players from Richard Hughes and John Messino and the fast start to the window. Is it now about time, do we think? And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm not trying to make you say something you're going to go on to regret, but we're all really excited by this. Long may it continue for what is a lengthy window, of course, and a long season, as you've mentioned, but really looking forward to seeing how this one turns out this year. It's got something different about it, hasn't it, this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's what the fans wanted for quite some time. A statement of intent. We've watched it, in previous seasons where, Ipswich have bought themselves out of the league, Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday, that they've signed some good players and stuff like that. And we always seem to be like, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. It's like we get linked to a player, someone poaches it off. It's quite frustrating sometimes, but what they're doing behind the scenes, it seems to be working really well. And we've got these 5 new guys coming in, all signed, all going to play for the badge, and I'm looking forward to the season. Again, pre-season is going to be key, but I think more strength coming in. There's no reason, and this could be one of the seasons where it could be one of the weakest seasons, as in team-wise. And this could be the one, where we could go, up and beyond. I'm fed up with League One. I didn't want to go down to League Two when it happened. And I am fed up with League One. Same like rinse and repeat. But again, you're not giving it on right to go to the Championship. You've got to win it. I get that. So no, a statement of intent for the owners. They'll get the backing from the fans. We'll travel home and away, no problem. We'll give you that. Just show us some more ambition. You've shown us that with 5 new signings. So yeah, a lot to look forward to of what's been happening this last week for Pompey.
I'm delighted to say Mr. Guinness is going to be home and away on a number of those occasions this season.
Carlisle away.
Really looking forward to it. Jake, just finally from you, and as briefly as possible, if you may, the overall view and perspective from you, outside looking in on Pompey's, perhaps the chance that they've given themselves by getting this head start on a number of other teams, but also the maybe a word of warning from you, perhaps, that it's a very good start, but 5 players does not a promotion-winning side make, perhaps.
Yeah, impressed, but like you said, it's just the start. So, like Aaron said, what's really important is how those players gel and how you get on over the 46 games. It's all good having a hype now, but for all you know, 4 of these 5 players might not perform the way you want them to. So, really impressed from the outside point of view, but you need a couple more, and I think in a couple of key positions just to reaffirm that you'll be one of those boys up there. But impressed so far.
Reece boy, you got the final word, mate?
Yeah, lovely to have the final word. I think maybe we should do like a competition where all the viewers get involved and see how many fish is in fish tank, and whoever gets the most gets a bit of merch.
That's the most random left field merchandise I've seen.
I've been looking at that fish tank all night, and I've been thinking how many's in there. I got to 20 and I gave up. So, no, me.
Good man. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for your continued support on the channel. We can't wait to get going here on Four Nil. And there it is. And I'm sure you can't wait either. For one final time tonight, thanks for watching, everybody. Keep the faith. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Play up Pompey.
Play up Pompey.
Up the Imps.
He had to get that in there. He had to get that in there, didn't he?